Thank you so much, Cassie. Hello, everybody. It's Luke here. First of all, I want to check, can you see my screen? It says Tauck 100 on it. Yep, perfect. Okay. So before I get into everything, quick introduction. I'm your BDM for Tauck, so you can reach out to me at any point for support. I will be sending an email out to all of you afterwards with my contact information. Um, Second thing is we have a special offer for everybody who is attending today. So essentially, you'll be able to offer the guest what's called day of webinar, and essentially, for the next 30 days, you will be able to offer guests if they are new to Tauck, so they cannot be repeat guests. If they're new to Tauck, you can offer them a complimentary pre or post night hotel if they book within 30 days if they're traveling in 2026 or 2027. Okay, so I'm going to recap on that at the end, and I'm going to send out a PDF with those details. But it's a very high value item because the hotels we use are often Fairmonts, Four Seasons, Oberois in India, which are like palaces, castles in Ireland, and so on. So, really valuable, often worth 500 to sometimes $1,000 per person. So it's a great one, and it's called Day of Webinar. So expect to receive that in your inbox after the presentation. Okay, let's get into it. So Tauck is 100 years old this year. They started in 1925, and Arthur Tauck, he had values when he started. The first one was do the right thing. Now it sounds very simple, but by doing the right thing, you build trust and integrity. And as a result, Tauck has the highest return rate of guests in the industry. It's 66%, which is absolutely exceptional. I was joking with Cassie earlier that if you don't see me working with Tauck next year or whatever, it's not because I left the company, it's because I was forcibly removed. I would never leave this company. I've been in the industry for 22 years, and Tauck is the pinnacle for me. I think they do the right thing, and we're going to give examples of that throughout the presentation today and to give you confidence of why you would put guests on a Tauck trip. Last value there is pioneer spirit. So we started with this tour here. Okay, so this was 1925, 6 day vacation around the Catskills, Berkshire Mountains, and so on. So we were the first company to have a tour broker's license in the US. And you can see it says luxury accommodations and it says everything included. So that's important. We have maintained these qualities, these aspects of the trips that we still do today. The price is obviously a little bit different today, so we can't do $69 anymore. But what's great about Tauk is the price is the price is the price. We print it in our brochures. We do not do dynamic pricing like the airlines and several other tour companies do, meaning that it's just fixed, which is nice. So when someone's on a trip, they're not, bragging that they paid less than anybody else and so on. So that's super nice. And then everything included, well, we're going to talk about that a lot as we move on. When Arthur Tauck passed on the torch, Arthur Tauck Jr. took over and he kept that legacy of doing things right. He said, if you're making people's dreams come true, you have to do things right. If you don't do things right, if you do things right, you will succeed. It's so simple, guys, but this is why Tauck really, really crushes it. And then our current chairman, Dan Marr, said that if you buy a suit, you can, and if it doesn't fit you, you can return it. If you buy a steak, you can send it back and get another one. But you can't do that with travel. So we like to get it right the first time. And we put a lot of effort into designing our itineraries and ensuring that we're doing right by the guest. Okay, so the big question most advisors have is what separates Tauck from anybody else? You really have to know that because otherwise all these companies kind of blend in. So if you're taking notes, this is where you should be writing things down. First thing is unique exclusive access. Now, if any of you have been to the Vatican, now we've unique exclusive access all over the world. I'm going to give just a handful of examples right now. The Vatican is a really good example because the Sistine Chapel is absolutely packed. I'm sure some of you have been there before. I used to be a tour director for about 11 years, and I took Trafalgar groups. I used to work with Trafalgar. I used to take them there, and it was an elbow to elbow experience. And somebody would be shushing you the entire time, saying "Silencio." Well, we don't have that at Tauck because we go after hours. That means your guests get to experience the Sistine Chapel with nobody else there, just our little tour groups. So they can look up and they can soak in those marvelous frescoes that Michelangelo did. So really spectacular. But it's not just that. We're global, right? So we go all seven continents. We've got the Angkor Wat Temple in Cambodia. If you're on an itinerary doing Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, you can go to the Angkor Wat Temple before it opens with a private guide. And when the sun rises, it looks like fire creeping up along the architecture. It's absolutely fantastic. Over to France, you could be in Giverny and you could be on a river cruise with Tauck, and then you could take your motor coach from the ship up to Giverny, where you go to the Maison et Jardin de Claude Monet, Monet's house and gardens. Now, if you were to go in regular opening hours, it's going to be packed with tourists. Every photo you take is going to have tourists in it. When you come with Tauk, we're going to go in there before it opens. So it's just us, and you get to see that beautiful scenery just like Monet did when he did those paintings. There's more. There's the Venaria Real, which is Italy's answer to Versailles. We get to go in there in the mornings. There's Michelangelo's David at the Galleria dell'Arte in Florence. You get to go in there before it opens. The Uffizi Museum in Florence before it opens. You get to see the Mona Lisa with nobody else in the room. I don't know if anyone here has seen the Mona Lisa before. It's tiny, but when you go in there with everybody else, it's like a rock concert. There's just like people with holding their phones up and blocking your view. It's not a pleasant experience, but with Tauk, it's unique and it's exclusive. So every itinerary will have something like this, and you can see it on the first page on the brochure or on the website when you're sort of looking at itineraries. Next thing is we're going to have you up close and personal with the people and wildlife as well. So we do safaris, and you can be in Tauk vehicles and getting right up close and personal with the wildlife. Um, there could be the Maasai tribe in Kenya that you get to break bread with, and um, it's really, really eye-opening to connect with them. We'll talk a bit more about that later. You could be in France and going to a cider farm that's family owned, and they'll take you on a tour of this lovely farm and learn all about the ciders and whatnot. Next Tauk difference is guided by the best. I mentioned I was a tour director for quite a while, and when I came across a lot of big personalities in the field. You can imagine the annual tour director meeting and all the big ego in that room. It's absolutely enormous because when you're a tour director, sometimes you can feel like Braveheart leading your troops into battle or something like that. But we don't search for that type of personality at Tauk when we're hiring tour directors. We like people who are compassionate overall because that's something that you cannot train, and it's something that our hiring managers seek out. I used to work with Chris Morrison here on the left back in Europe about, oh God, maybe 15 years ago. And amazing guy. He founded a charity in Africa which helps kids get educated, adults back into education. In addition to that, he's a snake handler. So he's highly educated, very compassionate, and then unique skills. And we see this is an example of a typical tour director. So he could be on a safari, and there's footage of him on video walking around with the snake in either hand to show the guests and so on. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but an unusual skill for sure. But they're all just really lovely, and they really we have something special on River that nobody else has, and I'm going to talk about our personnel on that shortly. First, though, where we go, so all seven continents, we have the whole world covered. And how we travel, we do land tours, we do river cruising, and then we do small ship. By the way, guys, someone's got a selfie with the Mona Lisa. Nice, very good. If you have any questions, type them in the chat, or we're going to have time for a Q&A session at the end as well. But feel free while they're in your mind to type them in the chat if you like. We do river and then we do small ship. So those are the three ways that we travel. So let's focus on land for a couple minutes, all right? Now, what separates Tauck from a typical company is that everything is included. The only thing that we recommend guests pay for on a land journey is gratuities for the tour director and the driver. Um, It's just a tax thing and it's just much more straightforward that way. But that's the only thing they'll spend money on. When I was a tour director at that other company I mentioned, on the first day that guests would arrive, I would do my sales pitch and I would have all of them signing up for optional experiences. This could be $1,000, $2,000 in addition to what they'd already paid for the trip. And you as an advisor would not see commission on that because I was taking that commission to myself as the travel director. At Tauck, it's different. So we pay our tour directors exceptionally well. Um, they do not need to sell optionals. There are no optionals allowed to be sold. So everything on a Tauck trip is included. So when you look at that pricing and you compare it to Luxury Gold or Insight or Globus or whatever it is, it's going to look higher initially. But when you break it down, the value is absolutely exceptional for what you get. So everything is included. Um, First thing first image you see there is Lake Louise in up in Canada, and the hotel behind that is the Chateau Lake Louise, and that is a beautiful Fairmont hotel. In that restaurant, you in that hotel, they have restaurants where you can have Bavarian food and Portuguese food and all sorts. It's just amazing. The hiking is exceptional. You can go out on boats on the lake. Fantastic spot. And when you stay with Tauk there, we will only contract hotel rooms that have a view of the lake. And that's doing the right thing as we see it. So only rooms with a view, which when you go in and you see that view, you have to process it for probably 20 minutes before you can stop looking at the window. It's exceptional. Now, I do want to talk about hotel quality because often people will try to put Tauk in the luxury bracket. I'd say premium, luxury, elegant is a good way to describe Tauk, but we don't fit into one and solely one. Often our hotels are going to be Oberois in India, as I mentioned, castles in Ireland that are five-star castles, um, Fairmonts, five-star hotels in the center of the cities and whatnot. However, Tauk values premium experiences as well. So one itinerary is a great example where you see a disparity between hotels is the American Canyonlands itinerary because day one, you're staying in the Four Seasons in Troon, Arizona. Absolutely gorgeous, the height of luxury. The next day, you're going to be staying in the national park because we want you to wake up beside the Grand Canyon. That means that you're going to be staying in a park accommodation and they're not five-star accommodations. So make sure that you're setting the expectations with your guests when you are booking these trips. Often you can rely on a hotel to be, very, very luxurious and premium, but sometimes we're going to be like, well, we want to be able to wake up at 7 in the morning, have your local expert walk you right over to the edge of the Grand Canyon before anybody else gets there. And then certain parts of the world, like the Highlands in Scotland, they just don't have luxury hotels. So we're going to have the best available in those places, but it does not necessarily mean a five-star hotel. Next up, so that's a little overview of hotels across the globe. We've dozens of itineraries in North America. You can find them in the brochure online, obviously, but you've got, the east where you've got fantastic history. You've got the south, bit of toe tapping and music and whatnot. You've got up in Alaska, we've got Hawaii and so on. So lots and lots of options in North America and fantastic itineraries in Canada. Europe, Italy alone, we have 11 itineraries because Italy, there's so much to see. You could do an itinerary which is focused on northern Piedmont, which is North Italy. And there you would visit the Venaria Real Palace before it opens, before anybody else gets there. You get to go truffle hunting with truffle dogs. The classic Italy itinerary is absolutely amazing. When I was 22, I went to Italy for a vacation and I didn't come home for 2 years and I led tours while I was there. So I really got a good feel for the place. And when I saw the Tauk itineraries, I was just blown away by them. Day one, classic Italy itinerary. You're going to be on the Amalfi Coast, hotel overlooking the water, absolutely stunning. Then you're over to Pompeii with a local expert to take you on this really immersive tour. Then on your way to Rome, you're going to stop in Orvieto, this amazing hilltop village where you take a funicular up to the top. There, you're going to go to a family-owned winery where you're going to have lunch and wine tasting. There's sommeliers, absolutely fantastic. Rome, you're right in the heart of the city in a five-star hotel. Um, all those amazing exclusive access experiences I talked about, like the Vatican. When you go to Florence, you are going to make a trip over to Cinque Terre, but instead of arriving by train like everybody else, you can arrive by boat. Really, really exceptional. And then you can hike or take trains between the five villages of Cinque Terre. Ireland, you are going to be staying in castles. Ashford Castle, which is absolutely amazing, used to be owned by the Guinness family. When you're there, you can go horseback riding, archery, skeet shooting, bike riding. There's Dromoland Castle, there's Hayfield Manor. The list goes on. It's just very, very um, premium and luxurious and very immersive experiences. And then global journeys and safaris, we're going to talk about later. But that hot air balloon ride, that's in a safari trip. It's going to be over a game reserve. It's included because everything's included. We are not upselling anything. Now, you would assume we're traveling by motor coach when we're on land tours. Yes, we are for the most part, but some places it doesn't make sense, like Australia, where we're going to fly you from destination to destination. We want to get you to Ayers Rock, the Uluru, for sunset to be able to have a glass of bubbly and enjoy it. So that's how we're going to do it there. Um, in Africa, it makes sense to fly in certain locations. We're going to have trains. On Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam, you could be on boats, buses, trains, internal flights, but all like always the best, like a very high quality mode of transport. In Japan, there's bullet trains, like an entire itinerary of bullet trains from one place to the next. And in North America, we use Rocky Mountaineer and the I can't remember what they named the American one, something Canyon, Canyon Railways perhaps, but whatever the top tier is available, that's what we give. So in Canada, it's Gold Leaf, and in the US, that's Silver Leaf. And that's part of an itinerary. So it might be land, like motor coach, train, train, motor coach, and so on. Group sizes. Who wants to be on a coach that's full with 50 other people? Nobody, right? So we are going to have smaller groups. So our classic group size is 38. So that's a full-size coach. So there's going to be extra seats on the coach. So if you want to kick it at the back, you absolutely can. Then we have small groups of 24. So that's nice, a bit more exclusive. And then our marketing team obviously worked night on day on this term for our groups of 15, which they called even smaller group. So very, very straightforward name there. But very exclusive, and multiple itineraries will have small and smaller groups available. They will all have classic size groups, but some of them will have small and even smaller. So that's coming to the end of the land portion, guys. Just remember, exceptional tour directors. Oh, dining. So most tours you'll be dining with your guests, other guests every night. We don't do it like that at Tauck. You've got your welcome meal and then your farewell meal. That's when everybody eats together. But on the other nights, you get to break up into smaller groups. So maybe the tour director is going to walk down the aisle of the coach during the day, and he's going to say, or they're going to say, "Hey, do you feel like Portuguese food tonight, or do you want to go for, Mediterranean? What are you in the mood for?" Oh, Mediterranean, cool. You can sit with the Joneses. They're going to do that. Would you like that? Or would you like to sit by yourselves? So we're giving our guests that flexibility, which they absolutely adore. I'll tell you, most guests like to eat with other people. It's very seldom that they would like to eat by themselves, but we provide the option anyway. On to river, guys. So the river is literally all inclusive. I mentioned on land, there's no nickel and diming, but on river, the gratuities are included. So on land, we do recommend gratuities for the guide and driver, but you cannot use your wallet on a river tour. And I've tested it. I've been on them, and I just leave my wallet in my room, and I carry, 50 euro note in my pocket, and I've never had to use it, which is really, really nice. So it's fully inclusive, it's intimate. We have the least amount of passengers on our ships compared to any other ship out there, which means more premium service, more luxurious service for everybody. We're going to talk about the numbers a little bit more I'm going to trash talk the competition a little bit in a couple of slides. And then we have exclusive access for dining. Okay. So there's multiple examples. One example I'm going to give you. Well, actually, before I give that example, let's talk about dining on the ship. There are two restaurants on the ship. Now, most companies, the issue with them is that there's only meal times between certain times. So in our fine dining restaurant, which is called the Compass Rose, that's where you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. But what about times outside of that? Well, if you were on another river cruise company, you'd probably be stuck, and you'd just have to wait. Not at Tau, because we have another restaurant open called Arthur's. Now, Arthur's is more casual, You can get mac and cheese and freshly made hamburgers, nothing frozen or anything like that. That would be a sin in our eyes. It's open from early in the morning until 11 at night, but they keep the doors open. So if you want to go in after 11, you can go and grab cookies and pastries and, fruit and hot chocolate and coffee and all that kind of stuff. So let's say at that witching hour, you can absolutely pop down and grab a couple of snacks. But the Compass Rose restaurant itself is absolutely fantastic. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast and lunch will have buffet available, but also a menu where it's made to order. So you can have the choice between going and getting stuff or ordering. Now, I'm the worst guest to take for dinner. I have a pesky gluten allergy and I have a dairy allergy as well. So all the fun things are gone. And by day two, they knew me by name and they'd say, "Oh, Mr. Mahoney, can we get you your gluten-free bread? We'll make sure the eggs are dairy-free. Would you like a latte with oat milk?" They take care of guests, and because there's so few guests on board compared to other companies, it's easy for them to learn your names and learn your needs. So, what about dining off the ship? Well, we're sparing no expense when dining on board. And by the way, dinner, I forgot to talk about dinner. Seven entrees available at dinner. You can choose whichever you like. Three of them remain consistent, so you could have filet mignon every night if you liked, and then four change. And some of them, sometimes it's regional based on where you are in Europe. Um, that's really nice. There's a wine cellar with has a wine list of 13 page long. It's unlimited, so you can have as much as you like, and it's high end stuff. So the champagne is the Veuve Clicquot, and then we have our tons of wines, but probably a fan favorite is the uh, Pont Neuf. Oh God, I can't remember it now, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So lots of options there. And then the lounge, you can be at the bar in the lounge drinking premium alcohol from morning to noon, to morning to nighttime if you wanted to. So there's unlimited premium drinks, which is really nice. Dining off the ship. We definitely want to enjoy dining off the ship as well because we are a destination focused company. So, one example I'll tell you about is in Vienna. So, the coaches will pick up the guests, they'll take them into the heart of the city, and the tour directors will get on the microphone and they'll say, "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our sparkling evening is going to be at the Palais Pallavicini, which is this beautiful old palace in the center of Vienna. We're going to walk up these grand stairs and into this reception room, right? This beautiful opulent room in the palace. Great big high ceilings, and there'll be opera singing. There'll be musicians playing. So I think the first song they play is Blue Danube. So the pace is nice and gentle as you're coming in. Everyone's getting a glass of champagne. After about 15 minutes in this beautiful opulent room, everyone's taking pictures. The opera singer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's now go to the main dining hall." And they walk right into the next room, which is this gorgeous opulent room, gold on the walls, big mirrors, high ceilings, balconies overlooking down upon the dining tables. This is not it in the picture. It's even more decadent than this image. There are white glove service, the cloches where they lift them off the table all together. There's nine musicians that play. The pace picks up. There's ballet, there's opera, and by the end of it, everybody claps and gives a standing ovation every single time. And people say this alone is a good enough reason to come to Europe. Our river cruises go all over Europe. So we've got the Danube, we've got the Rhine, we got the Moselle, the Rhone, the Saône, and the Seine in France, and the Douro in Portugal, and more. Here's where we trash talk the competition, right? So that company that rhymes with hiking, that's nearly 200 passengers on board, right? So imagine that. Like the rooms are going to be, there's going to be more small rooms because the size of the ship is dictated by the size of the river. So they're all the same width and length, but on a Tauck ship, you have less guests. So that means more suites. So when you leave your suite and you walk down to the lounge at any time, you don't have to make a reservation. There's seats always available. You just take a seat, and within 2 minutes, somebody will come up to you and ask you what you would like to drink. If it's day two or later in the trip, they'll probably already know what you want and they'll know you by name. So, what are the numbers? Tauck has a maximum of 130 passengers, right? 130. But we're very appealing to solo travelers because take note of this. There is no single supplement on any departure for a Category 1 cabin, which is the entry level cabin for a solo traveler. That's amazing because you won't find that elsewhere. I know seasonally, off shoulder season, some companies offer that. For us, all year round, no single supplement, which means we get solo travelers. So it brings down that average from 130 to about 115 thereabouts. So 115 passengers. Now, if we reduce the amount of passengers on board, you would think that we could have less director level staff. Well, what does director level staff look like on any of these other companies? All these other companies have one cruise director, and then they rely upon local experts in the field in destination to do their tours. We have a cruise director, we have local experts, of course, as well. But in addition to that, we have three tour directors. And nobody has this, and I can't believe they haven't caught on to this, but this is the best thing Tauck ever did because it's where we excel. A tour director, yes, is there to do commentaries, which they do. You know, they're going to be, you can be in the lounge or you can go to the top deck and you can listen to them talk about the castles and the agriculture and the wildlife as we're sailing down these rivers. Um, but in addition to that, what they really crush it, what they really excel on is service, and I go as far as to say care, because they're with the guests on the ship and then off the ship when they go on excursions. That means if anything goes wrong, which with 110 people, someone's going to have an issue. Someone's going to have a meal allergy. Someone's old injury is going to act up. Someone's going to be upset because on the way over, the wheel broke on their suitcase in the airport. The tour directors are there to deal with all of these, and this is how we please and take care of our guests. One great example was we went to this chocolate tasting in Germany. And it was a beautiful ancient building, absolutely gorgeous. So the setting is amazing. And then the staff were incredible. The head chocolatier had like, you know, this fantastic German accent, this amazing attire. He was dressed in white. And, you know, he was like, okay, you've got four chocolates in front of you. We're going to go through these, but we're not going to rush. You're going to take the first one, you're going to place it in your mouth, sit it right at the front of your tongue, and absorb those flavors. So it was quite a ritual, and everybody was getting into it, and just the setting was magical. The tour director noticed that one of the ladies was not eating the chocolates or tasting the chocolates. She came up and she said, "What's going on?" She said, "Oh, I have a dairy allergy. I didn't want to make a fuss about it." The tour director beelines across town, finds a vegan chocolatier place, and brings back chocolates for her so she can feel like she's participating in the experience as well. I thought that was amazing. And we see stuff like that all the time. A look inside the ship. So they are elegant. You're probably familiar with Uniworld. They're going to be very extravagant. So if you want gold on the walls and big purple beds and unusual bright colors and statues of cats, they are fantastic for that kind of client. Tauck is elegant, but it's a bit more understated. Um, the rooms are very large. The suites, 300 square feet. Our smallest cabin is 160 square feet. That's the category one. Suites would be, you know, twice that pretty much. They're nice, they're bright. The bathroom is absolutely gigantic. The suites have a sofa bed as well. We do have a family product, so the sofa bed would be, you know, for two small kiddos, which is great. And then you can see some. This is our Andorinha ship in Portugal. So the Portuguese ships are smaller. They all are because the river dictates the size. So this one takes 84 passengers, whereas Viking would probably have 120 roughly on the same size ship. And you can see the top right picture, that's Arthur's that I talked about, the casual dining restaurant. But on this ship, Arthur's has two levels. So it's not two levels on all ships, but it does have two levels on this one. So you can see up here, there's a bar outside. If you did a group, we do groups, you could actually have like a sommelier come on board. And if they were into wine, they could do a wine tasting. But this actually goes up and down when it goes under bridges. And then look at these pools. They're absolutely gorgeous. So they're heated. Really, really nice. Very lovely pools. So just a quick recap on everything river, fine dining with options and open seating, all beverages included, premium spirits, all shore excursions, exclusive cultural experiences, entertainment admissions, tastings, on-tour transport, arrival and departure transfers. This is a good one because if we do a pre-night or a post-night, most companies will charge for that departure transfer, but we don't. We include it. So if you use one of our hotels, we include it. But even if you use a hotel that you want to book them in or they want that's not a Tauck hotel, we will still include it. And then all gratuities. No optional excursions sold ever. Moving on, guys, to small ship. So small ship is out on the oceans. and they're small, so they provide uncommon access. The average size is 200 passengers, which is really nice. I just did an MSC cruise. I think there was 9,000 people altogether, including staff, and we spent days at sea, and I thought I was on a floating mall. I was just there for a conference. It was my first cruise ever. Tauck is different. It's very destination focused, so fewer days at sea, more time in destination, and that small access is great because, sorry, uncommon access is great because those small ships can get right into places that the large ships cannot. There are two types of small ship itineraries. Cultural. So an example of cultural could be Sicilian coast, and you're going to start in Italy and you're going to end in Malta. Good thing about all of our small ship cruising is that there is a land portion at the beginning and at the end. Because often when you book small ship, guests will say, "Oh, well, if I'm going to be in Italy, then I want to spend some time in Rome." We have that all taken care of for you, so you don't have to add on and build bits and parts at the beginning and the end. It's all done. So you might have 2 or 3 days in Rome, then you're on the cruise, and then you've got, 2 or 3 nights in Malta at the end, which is really nice. Um, those 2 or 3 nights are fully inclusive, immersive. You've got tour directors, you've got transport, you've got inclusions, hotels, everything. It's just part of the tour. And that's on pretty much almost every single small ship itinerary. More examples of cultural could be the Great Lakes, it could be Athens to Istanbul, it could be a small ship cruise around Iceland, it could be one around Japan, it could be East Coast of the US, and so on. There's so many itineraries. In total, between all travel styles, we've, I think, 250 itineraries. Um, there's also expeditionary, so this is more adventurous. You're going to cross the Drake Passage, get a bit of Drake Shake, go to Antarctica, Galapagos Islands, go see wildlife right up close and personal. You've got a naturalist who will show you the wildlife. And then you have Alaska Inside Passage is another expeditionary one that we do. Now, river is different. So river, we have Tauck ships, right? And they're Tauck branded. Small ship, this is important for you guys to know. We partner with these other companies, but the Tauck experience is different to what they offer. So the first ship you see there is Windstar. The second ship you see is Silver Seas, and then the third one is a Ponant ship. We also work with Metropolitan. So sometimes, and you need to ask this when you're booking, ask, is this a fully chartered Tauck departure or is it a partial Tauck departure? Fully chartered means it's only Tauck guests on board. Partially departured means it's Tauck guests, but it could also be Penang guests or Windstar and so on. If it is partially chartered, our guests tend to love it because the disparity is the difference. The Tauck experience, I'll say, is more superior. Yes, the price is going to be higher for the Tauck guest, but what they get is tour directors on board. The hardware is the same, but they get the best meal package possible. So obviously everything's included. They don't have to pay for anything. Um, they get unlimited drinks, premium quality. They disembark and re-embark the ship first. And then the excursions are going to be Tauck excursions. Nothing is sold, it's all included. But let's say you go to a destination and a local person is going to take the Penang guest on a walking tour or whatever. The Tauck guests are probably going to go flight seeing over glaciers, or they're going to be dining at a castle with entertainment or something like that. So that would be the difference. And again, gratuities are included. Moving on to Glojo, global journeys and safaris. So just these are trips that we do all over the world. So we've safaris, we've land tours outside of Europe and North America, and small ships. Well, they're on the ocean, so I guess all of them are considered global. And then destinations Africa, Middle East, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, the Americas, the Arctic, and Antarctica. So all 7 continents. And you can experience, you could be seeing penguins in Antarctica, be in India, seeing all the amazing personalities there and the fantastic colors, and the hotels you stay in are just going to blow your mind. Look up Oberoi, Oberoi. Google image those hotels. You could be having tea with a geisha in a Japanese garden, enjoying the markets in Marrakesh, or going to a temple before it opens in Cambodia. Our safaris have game drives, minimum 4 game drives, but the most we have is 9 game drives on an itinerary. There is a gorilla visit that you can do in Rwanda. This is something that travel advisors can add on as a package. We don't add it on, you do, and you make commission on it, which is nice. And then it's also about the people. So it's very moving. Definitely a highlight to be able to connect with the people. The Maasai people in Kenya, for example, you get to break bread with them and participate in dance and rituals and whatnot. And then when we're on game drives, the vehicles are Tauck branded and there's no middle seat, so everybody gets a window. You've got internal flights. Accommodations are called lodges and camps, and they're very luxurious. You've got the hot air balloon ride that we talked about and so on. And I love these. So this is called a sale sheet or sale sheet. You can download these on the advisor portal. I totally recommend downloading these because it's a snapshot of a product. So this one is Safari, but you can get them for river, for small ship, for there's one for Italy because there's so many itineraries in Italy. Um, but it's going to tell you the name of the trip, how many guests, how many days, when it operates, what kind of wildlife you would see, who it's for, first timers, families, adventure seekers, and so on. We getting any questions in the chat at all? Not yet, guys. You must have some questions. Come on, I'd love to see some questions at the end. So that's Safari, guys. And then we move on to our Bridges product, which is our family product. And you can go on one of these even if you don't have a family. As an advisor, I mean, guests can't. But if you want to go on a fam, you can book one of these, which is we've had many advisors do because they're so much fun. I don't have kids myself, but I look at these itineraries and I think, oh my God, the activities are amazing. Memorable experiences, milestone moments, closer connections. The kids are going to make friends with all the other kids. The adults are going to make friends with the adults. Um, you can go zip lining in Costa Rica, make s'mores, be right up close with the wildlife in Galapagos Islands, whitewater rafting, boating on Lake Louise, a scavenger hunt in the Louvre. I guess there was a little scavenger hunt in the Louvre a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there? Flight seeing over Lake Powell, go to a ninja training school in Japan, and so on. So really fantastic. You can go to a gladiatorial training school. You can put your kids in a gladiatorial training school in southern Italy, where they'll get little wooden swords and armor and hats, and which is fantastic. And you can pit them up against someone else's kids and see who's victorious. What is the maximum number of individuals per cruise? 350, I believe it is. 200 is the average. So on the oceans, it's 350 max, but 200 on average. And then on the river, the maximum is 130, but it's 110 on average. Per cabin, two typically, actually three, because the sofa bed can sleep a third adult. The bathroom's gigantic. You could probably sneak three friends onto the floor of the bathroom, but just don't tell anyone. And then group travel. So we do groups, guys. I can help you with groups. I can talk through the day by day of an itinerary. So let's say you have a group, right? 20 people or whatever, 10 people, whatever it is. I can, because I was a tour director in 18 countries, I know a lot of the destinations very, very well. I can speak to them well. So let's say you had a group and we could do a webinar and I can actually present on the itinerary. And we did this about 5 weeks ago now for an itinerary and it was $11,000 per person. And I just talked about it from beginning to end and on this webinar. And then the travel advisor went around and said, who's going? Who's going? Who's going? Everybody put their hand up and they paid for the insurance as well. And they deposited that day. So lean on me. I'm here to support you and I can help you get that sale across the line. All right. So I'm a tool for you guys to be able to help to help you with stuff like that. It's not selling, it's inspiring. Um, so with groups, the 10th person for every 10 people, the 11th goes free. And then for bridges, the family product for every 8 people, the ninth goes free. Also, we do if you do a hosted group on a river, whether it's you who hosts or a guest that hosts, um, and you get 20 people, we'll give you two free cabins, 5 grand on top of your commission, and $250 per person on top of your commission. So lots of money. Solo travel, we definitely look after our solo travelers. As mentioned, category one cabins on the river are no solo supplement, single supplement. And then fantastic savings for solo travelers as well on land. So just open the brochure. The price is printed because the price is the price is the price. New itineraries in 2026. I'm not going to read all of them, but the small ship cruising, Arctic Days and Northern Lights, that to me sounds amazing because you get to go along the coast of Norway, stopping all the time. You get to go dog sledding. You get to go up, up, up into the Arctic Circle, up to Bear Island and back down to Norway. Absolutely amazing. What else? Bordeaux, Paris, and the Seine is fantastic for wine tasting on the river. Spotlight in Australia is where you're going to be flying from destination to destination. Spotlight in South Africa and Victoria Falls. Before you get to the game drive section of the trip, you got the first few days, you're going to be in Victoria, or you're going to go down to Boulder Beach. You're going to see penguins on the beach. Then you're going to go to a wine tasting, and then instead of taking the coach back to the hotel, we're going to fly you back in helicopters, which is really nice. You can take the coach back if you want, but yeah. We win tons of awards. We've won more awards since this, but this just gives you assurance that, if you have your guests with us, they're going to come back, and that's a continued stream of revenue for you. Okay, tools for you guys. You absolutely want to log into the advisor portal if you have not already. Look on the left side here. See where it says points? You get points for every booking. Sorry, you get points for every guest. So let's say you get a booking with 5 guests. 5 guests equals travel credit of $1,000 for you. So you could book 5 guests and the points last for 2 years. So you could book easily 20, 30 guests in 2 years, like easy. You could probably do a lot more if you put your mind to it. One Tauck trip is like doing 10, um, you know, those cheaper cruises that you can book. Just think big, think Tauck and focus on this, and then you get the points in return. So then you could rack up 5K pretty quickly. And then we also do heavily discounted trips for advisors. So last April, we sent out probably 60 itineraries. Some of them were up to 50% off. And then you can double dip. So you can use your credit that you've banked up from selling Tauck to against an already heavily discounted trip. And you can end up going for a couple of hundred or even free. So keep that in mind. You can send brochures to clients online through our portal, which is nice, and AI will write a letter to them if you wanted to. And then this tool is spectacular. This is called Approach Guides. You absolutely want to use this, especially if you're newer, but even if you've been in the game for a long time. Here's what's going to be part of your life if you're new to the travel agency business. Advisor website is just go to tauck.com, go to the top right. You'll see log in, I think it says, and then you'll be given a choice for advisor or guest. Click advisor, and then if you already have login details, easy. If you don't have login details, all you need is your IATA, your email and your IATA, and then you can log in. So nice and easy. Good question, Marquita. So back to this approach guides. So one challenge that advisors have all the time, and I know this because I did a 6 month stint as an advisor, and God, it was so hard, all those brands to remember. But you're gonna have people coming in asking you, oh, hey, they're wishy-washy, right? They might give you 5 destinations that they're thinking about going to. How do you respond to that? You're supposed to go and do all this research, spin your wheels, and then send them like an email where you copy and paste information off websites and phone them up or whatever it is. And it takes you days to get back to them. And then they might go, yeah, you know what? I decided to keep the money and buy a car instead. And you're like, great, what a waste of time. Well, what if you could send them the consumer the website instead, the supplier website instead? Well, there's a risk with that, isn't there? Because if you send the website, then you risk losing the business to direct because they'll see the phone number, they'll see the email, and they go, oh, I'll just phone in. They don't know the benefits of a travel advisor all the time. Well, if you co-brand the website with approach guides, it means that you can have the entire Tauck website, right, with your contact information and none of our contact information. It's so simple to do. It takes 5 minutes to make. All you do is click the link. I'm going to send you the link. It's in my signature, everybody. Okay, so when you get my email today with that signature, click the link in the signature, and it's going to take you to a page where you follow the steps and set it up. All you gotta do is type in your name, your phone number, your email. You can upload a logo if you want, if you guys have a logo. You can upload a picture of yourself if you like as well. And then you just hit generate, and it's going to give you the URL to your own Tauck website. And then you just save that, bookmark it. And once it's done, that's it. You never have to do it again. And when that wishy-washy guest comes in and it's like, oh, I want to go here and there and everywhere, all you do is you go to your website, right? You find the tours that they want to go to because every single page on the website has your contact information and none of ours. And then you just copy it and you paste it and you send it to them in an email and say, check these out, come back to me if you're interested. And these websites are extremely persuasive. If a picture tells 1,000 words, then these websites are going to tell a lot more to inspire your guests to book. And they can't book through the website. It's just information, and they'll come back to you. And if they click contact, it's going to open an email to you. If they try and ring the number, it's going to ring your phone. So it's really nice. Um, then we have just more confidence for you. Look, I've been on 42 tag tours. People just keep coming back, and that's why we design probably 10 itineraries every year. This is everyone in the company, so the extended family. We're family run, which is absolutely amazing. Because it's the 100th year, they took everybody to Florence, and nobody was allowed to work. If you want to play Where's Wally and find me, you won't be able to because I joined the company 2 days later, unfortunately. Boo-hoo. Next, guys, very exciting. We have a new product. It's called Rome by Tauck. Now, Tauck guests are typically going to be 55 or upwards, unless it's the Bridges brand, which is the family, right? But Rome is designed for people in their 40s and 50s. Now, people in their 40s and 50s are still employed. They don't have access to 401k. So we've we've changed these a little bit, right? If because they're still working, they're going to need a bit of relaxation, but they're younger, so they're going to want a bit of activity as well. And then they're really going to care about the food experience as well. So Tauk food is already amazing, but these dining experiences are more adventurous. You could be going out on a boat in southern France, like a little boat, with a chef and a team, a sous chef and so on. You're going to catch oysters and they're going to prepare them for you with sides on the boat. You could be kayaking beneath the foothills of medieval castles in Dordogne, France. You could be hiking a section of the famous walk in Spain, the Compostelo. What's it called again? Anyway, it's escaping me. There's a big focus on relaxation. It's going to be, instead of going up all around, it's going to be 3 to 4 nights in each destination. There's going to be free time in amazing places for guests to sort of have a bit of self-discovery. And group size is 16 maximum. Okay, sometimes smaller, but 16 maximum. So just Google Rome by Tauck and you'll be able to get to the website. We have a dedicated BDM for this. Her name is Jennifer Hunter, but I can support you as well. We both can. I can bring her in to do a webinar if you want a full webinar on this. Cassie, you just let me know. And that's it. Before we do any questions, I just want to recap on the offer that you guys get. So, as a reminder, in case anybody was late, um, I already sent it to Cassie and sorry to Nina, but I'm going to email it to you guys after. They're going to provide me with your emails. I'm going to send it so you'll have my email. You'll also have in my signature the link to the co-branded website set up. It's so easy. In fact, the first person to do it and send me their co-branded website, you must have logo, um, name, phone number. First person to do it, I will send you a $20 gift voucher. Okay, so first person to do it. Um, and that stays open until the first person submits. Now, the offer, just to recap, is it's just shared in the link in the chat there. You can download it that way if you like. It's called Day of Webinar, so it's for attending this webinar. It's only for people who attended this webinar. You can offer to guests. It's a complimentary pre or post night hotel for any trip booked within 30 days if the guest is new to Tauk and they're traveling in 2026 or 2027. So to recap, it's available for 30 days. It's a complimentary hotel night pre or post. Now, we talked about the hotels. They're Four Seasons. They are Oberois. They are castles in Ireland. Sometimes these are worth $500 to $1,000 per person. So this deal is exceptional and it's going to run until January 3rd. Okay. And that's everything. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Any questions? Wow. So wonderful. Thanks, Krista.
We
Appreciate it.
had one about accessibility travel,
Good
and then
question.
there you want to speak to that, and then there was another one I'll go look at.
Yeah, so you'll find a chart with activity level and pace level on every itinerary. Just check the website to see that. I would say that it's challenging because we're very destination focused. That means that let's say you're on a river cruise tour, we're going to be getting out. There's going to be cobblestones and whatnot. So it can be challenging. There is no lift to the very top floor on the ships. So, if someone's in a wheelchair, they wouldn't be able to access that. So I wouldn't recommend it. Um, Legally, I think, no company can decline. But I would say that your guests would face challenges if they did. Now, if someone had maybe an old injury that acted up a bit every now and then, they were a bit slower on their feet, I think that would be okay on, a lower pace tour and lower activity level tour. So just check the website and make sure you're aware of what the pace is on those itineraries.
And then what is the largest number of people per cabin on the river cruises and ocean cruises or small ships?
Three. Yeah. So the suites are going to have a king size bed and then they would have a sofa bed as well. So the sofa bed could sleep a third adult. Actually, if you're on a Bridges cruise. And by the way, the Bridges cruises are fantastic because we do Christmas markets. We do more Christmas market trips for the adults, but there's two
Nice.
for the kids, and they absolutely love it. But on that one, you could sleep two small kids in the room and two adults in the king bed. Um, Technically, kids cannot be alone in rooms, but often it's a case where, let's say you get a family and they will book two rooms and they're like on paper you've got one adult in each room, but in reality it's different.
I'm trying to copy your information so I can put it in the chat.
Sure.
And it will not copy. Um, what is your email, Luke? Do you mind to put it in the chat? Because I can't get this to
Yeah.
copy.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go, everybody. lomahoney@tauck.com.
Thank you very much.
Um, you are welcome. FAMs. Oh, Kathy. So we don't do FAMs where we just run a FAM typically. The way we do it is it's a two-way street. So if you book us, then you get points. And then when you get those points, you can pretty much get yourself a free trip. There are instances like I don't know if you guys go to Asta, the River Expo, but there's a pre-fam and a post-fam on that. Um, we have something called academies. So academies are where you can get certified, and they're invite only. So if you're interested, just send an email to salesteam@Tauck. Let me put that in the address in the chat. And you can just say, "Hey, I'm interested in becoming a certified advisor." They are going to look at your sales to see like how you've been doing so far. So definitely consider that. But when you get certified, you can offer the complimentary pre and post night to any new guest at any time. You don't need to do a training. You also get access to special rates on trips for yourself. But you can still get really good rates, especially if you rack up some points, which is really nice. Remember, guys, the first person to make the co-branded website and send me an email with it, um, I'll send you a $20 gift card.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
We can use on Amazon for Christmas shopping.
Yeah, whatever they want. Yeah, abs yes, good idea. While it's I think it's still Cyber Week or whatever. They'll
Yes.
be
Thank you
extending it.
very much, Luke, for this time
Yeah.
this evening and spending it with us. And we look forward to booking some talc.
Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye, Cassie.
Have a
Thank you.
great holiday. You too.
Bye.